Hey, what's up, Rattlers? So I am at one of my favorite places in the world. This is southern Minnesota in the blufflands along the Mississippi River. And I come to this place in particular because it's secluded. Not a lot of people know about this place, and there are a lot of rattlesnakes here. So in this video, I'm gonna do something a little bit different than the other videos that I've made. I'm gonna open up and I'm gonna share a little something about myself that maybe you guys don't know about. But first, I'm gonna go find a bunch of timber rattlesnakes.
I'm Dāv Kaufman, and I tour the world to see how reptiles are living in the wild. And while I'm at it, checking out some of the most amazing facilities and reptile expos as well. It's all about learning, appreciation, and conservation. So come with me and join my reptile adventures.
At Zilla, we are dedicated to the innovation of caging, lighting, and equipment solutions that provide proper husbandry for your pet's long and happy life. To see our entire catalog, visit zillarules.com.
All right, so I've got to scale this cliff face here, and that's, I don't know, probably 50 feet down. Not enough to kill me, but enough to break my leg if I slip on this wet moss up here. So you look for rocky outcroppings like this, and they're gonna overwinter, and they're gonna spend their evenings and their nights in these little crevices. During the day like this, they're gonna come out and they're gonna sun themselves. And because this is so thick, you have to be very sure of where you take a step, because those timber rattlesnakes are so good at camouflage, they can disappear in plain sight. And in this thick undergrowth, you're not gonna see them until you're about a foot away from them. Look at this patch of green right here by this bluff. There could be a 5-foot timber rattlesnake sitting under there and you'd never see them. All right, look at this, guys. This is the first timber rattlesnake of the day. This place that I'm at right now, albeit super windy, is actually one of the strongest populations of timber rattlesnakes that I know of in Minnesota, and that's why I come to this location. But look at him right there. He's just hanging out. So what timber rattlesnakes do in these bluffs up here is, first of all, they'll overwinter here, but males like this are generally the first to pop their heads out of these bluffs after hibernation. And they have one thing on their mind: find the girl. So what this male is going to do this time of year is he's gonna find that female. Hopefully he's gonna successfully breed with her, and then he's gonna leave this bluff and go down into the cooler valleys, into the forests, and he's gonna spend the summer down there before returning to this spot in the fall to hibernate right where he did this last winter. And what the females will do is they will have their litter right by these rocky outcroppings like this, and then they will leave to go down into the valleys. So it was once thought that the females give no maternal care to the babies. Well, that's not true. We now know that snakes follow superhighway scent trails from their hibernaculums to food sources and wherever else they go. And that's how they find their hibernaculums up here on this bluff year after year, is they're following those superhighway scent trails. And so what the mother will do as part of her maternal care for the babies is she will leave this bluff, but she will go directly to a food source for her babies, and then her babies will follow the mother's scent trail to that food source, secure their first meal, and then those babies will spend the first year here on the bluff, and they will find a place to hibernate, and generally speaking, that will be the place that they hibernate year after year after year by following those superhighway scent trails. So again, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to follow that mother's scent trail to a food source. They're going to have their first meal. They're going to hang out up here on the bluffs because it's much warmer up here and they need that heat to have a couple of meals before they have to go down to hibernation. And so a lot of the males and the females that didn't give birth this year are going to spend their summers down in the valleys where it's much cooler, and then they're going to come right back up here to these rocky outcroppings where they hibernated the year before, and their babies are going to stay in very close proximity to these hibernaculums so that they can easily find it when the weather changes into winter. lot of you guys have either commented or come up to me at expos and asked me where Rattle On comes from. And I know that I made a vlog about it a couple of years ago on my vlog channel, but I know that I've never shared it with you guys. So here's the story of where Rattle On comes from. It all started about 5 years ago. I was in a really bad place in my life. I had spent the greater part of my life sacrificing to make it as a filmmaker, and when I did finally make it and had success, my films have been released all over the world on Lionsgate and of course the Herpers films. Well, about 5 years ago, I sat and watched helpless as Blockbuster closed their doors, and that really killed a major part of the independent film world. So I found myself without a career. I was in love with a woman who wound up cheating on me, and then she got engaged to that guy like 4 weeks later. I was absolutely devastated with life, and I had kind of had enough. Well, one night I wound up in the suicide ward, and I remember sitting in this metal room at the hospital, and it was just me in a bed and a closed circuit TV so that I could talk to the doctors. And I remember sitting there thinking I'm just going to tell the doctors whatever it is that I need to tell them so that they'll let me go home and try it again, and this time I won't fail doing it. I was in a really dark place, the darkest I've ever been in my life. But as I was sitting there waiting for the doctors, a thought had occurred to me. If I do this, I'm never going herping again. I will never be out here ever again. And then I started thinking about snakes, and I started thinking about everything that snakes have to survive out here. Snakes have to worry about a cold front coming through and not being able to move to eat. And when they do find that meal, they have to worry about them being warm enough in order to digest it. They have to worry about predators that are all around them. They have to worry about rednecks and ignorant people wanting to kill every one of them. They have to worry about finding a place to hibernate or they will die out here. So really, we have no problems compared to a snake. None. And listen, if snakes can survive everything that's been thrown at them, then why do we often fold so easy when things are at their worst for us? These guys have survived everything. In fact, up until 1989, there was a bounty on rattlesnakes in Minnesota, and thousands of them were butchered. And yet they remain. They've survived. And they remain strong despite everything that life has thrown at them. And now they're protected. But these rattlesnakes here, they survived. They are survivors. And so if snakes can survive everything that life has thrown at them, why couldn't I? So I went home and reevaluated everything, inspired by snakes. I got busy living. 2 weeks later, I enrolled in a university. Shortly after that, I launched this channel. And I never thought that this channel would take me as many places as it has. And so I asked myself the question as I was sitting in that room. If I am so inspired by snakes, and snakes are such survivors, they have survived everything that life has thrown at them, then why aren't you? And that thought changed my entire life around. So look at these rattlesnakes that are sitting here right by this bluff next to me. This spot that I'm at right now, it's kind of sacred to me actually. I've been coming here for years and years and years. And I come here, I just sit and watch these guys do their thing. And I've seen these snakes year after year after year in this spot. And I spend hours here and I just reflect on where I've been and where I'm going and how much I am so thankful that snakes have inspired me as much as they have. So listen, if things are bad in your life, and listen, everybody goes through it. Everybody has dark times. And when you get that way, consider the snake. Consider that the snake has survived everything that life has thrown at it. Everything that has tried to destroy snakes and remove them from our planet, but yet they've survived. And not only have they survived, but they are the most successful animals on the planet. And so as I sat there and waited for the doctors, I said to myself, out of the blue really, you get out of here and you just rattle on. When things are at their worst, just rattle on. When you get into these dark places, just rattle on. It became my motto, and it became my strength. So yeah, rattle on isn't just a catchphrase for these videos. It's a battle cry. It's a way for me to pick myself up, dust myself off, get back on the saddle, and stick my spurs in. So I come here, and I sit, and I watch these snakes, because these snakes are such an inspiration to me. But today, I am the happiest with my life that I have ever been. I love making these videos, I love touring the world, I love doing what I'm doing. So that's where Rattle On comes from. It comes from a place to where I was at my darkest. And now, it's elevated me to the brightest place I've ever been in my life. So, love the planet. We have to, because we're losing it fast. Feed your reptile obsession, because it is an obsession. And for me, it's an obsession that has literally saved my life. And when things are at their darkest for us all, simply just say, rattle on.